Hey everybody, sorry about that. There was a few technical difficulties. Hello to everyone that is in the chat. Now, we've got the one and only Ryan Brown. He is very, very busy at work at the moment, but he's taken just a small chunk out of his hectic schedule to join in, answer some of the questions that you've got in the chat. And I've also got a list of questions just in case it gets derailed and stuff like that. But without further ado, I'm just going to introduce the one and only Marvel, DC, IDW, and Image artist legend that is Ryan Brown. Here he is. How you doing,
Hello.
Ryan?
I'm good.
How you doing, mate? Right?
Yep. That was very I don't know. I'm not gonna live up to the hype there now, that sounds too dramatic.
You've got to now, mate. You have to now. Do you know that?
Yeah. It sounds like somebody else. It sounds like you were introducing somebody else there.
I hope
if
not.
You had
I
to
hope,
say it, yeah, if you had to say it, this asshole that lives in Belfast, then
if I've got hold of the wrong Ryan Brown, I think you might need to just send that a Facebook messenger.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right. I make fish and chips. I fry up fish and stuff, during the day and stuff. And what are we talking about? Fish and chips, are we?
We are going to talk. This is. I had a friend on the show the other week, and we have now renamed it the Killer Cheesecake Show. So we're now going to call it the Killer Cheesecake. So if you like cheesecake and you've got any decent ingredients that you want to throw my way, please let me know.
God, I couldn't cook or anything. I can't make anything to save my life. It's like toast is definitely the highest level for me. And most of the time I burn it all. It's like I can't cook. Yeah, I just can't.
But I guess it's a bit like your artwork. You had to start somewhere. So I mean, toast is up there. So I mean, why not?
It's been years and it hasn't evolved. It's still toast. It's like, I am old and I'm still on toast, and that's not good. Like that's like drawn for like 30 years and you're still on stick man or something like that. It's just not good.
It's not evolving. So I mean, thank you for coming on the show anyway. This is just like something that I've just started to give the UK comic book community a bit of insight into how it works in the UK. I mean, you'll know better than anyone how massive comic books are and comic book covers and variant covers are over in the US. I mean, how have you been coping? Obviously, in Belfast, you're probably in the same lockdown scenario as I am in London. Yeah. How have you been coping with the COVID situation?
To be honest, for me, it's no different. It's literally, artists basically sit at home and work, day and night anyway. And you're not out very often. The odd time I would go out to the bar and meet some people and stuff, or go out for food or whatever. And that's about it, really. So it's such a small difference for me. Like it's, the disadvantage is actually not being able to get that break, and go out because when you're constantly working, like, creative stuff like art or anything, anything creative, you're using your brain constantly. It's like, you get worn out. It can wear you out, because you're trying not to constantly repeat yourself. You're trying to be inventive, and when that is like a cover after cover after cover, it wears you out. It really does. Like whenever I get to the end of one cover, I feel exhausted. Mentally, my head's mush. And it doesn't seem to get easier. I think if you were to say, right, okay, I'm going to draw like a 3/4 shot of a body and similar pose all the time, then it would be you could just fire those type of things out. But I kind of try and bounce all over the place. I try and do like a full head shot, and then I try and do a body shot, and then I do a sort of an action sort of scene or something. And I'm trying to, change it around all the time, which it sort of takes it out of you. So like I would go out and take a little break and try and just, re-energize myself a little bit before I get back or go to the next cover or whatever, because it's important, or else you're drained, like. So, I mean,
no, go on. Sorry.
So it didn't. I mean, the sort of coronavirus thing hasn't really affected me an awful lot. I have to say, it probably have been busier than usual. I'm working on various other things as well. I'm doing covers that haven't came out. Some of the covers that I've did, you know, it's maybe 5 months before they come out. You know, it takes a long time. And I'm also working on another project thing as well. Really something very, very big.
Oh wow.
Marvel DC type thing, but I can't say what it is. But it's everybody. Well, anybody that sort of likes my artwork or whatever is going to really like this. You know, this is big. So this is totally new for me. Something totally different that I haven't did before. But I just can't really say what it is, and I really want to say what it is. But
I mean, because obviously you've done things with like computer games and stuff like that. Obviously, with like the Gears and Wars crossover and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is it going towards that motion, or is it something totally out there without pushing the wrong buttons? Okay, right. So if you shut down straight away, that's fine. That's fine. It's just
because I've got like a form of Tourette's, you know, and I want to just scream it out. I want to scream it at her. And then it's like, oh, shut your mouth, stop it. You know, I've got like an illness. It's, you know.
Well, everyone in the chat, you heard it here first. Ryan Brown is working on something fantastic. We can't say no more. That's it.
Well, you can judge.
Interview's done.
That's
it.
All over. You can judge whether it's fantastic or not, but I think it's fantastic. I'm like very excited. Very excited.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you're probably the best judge of character considering it's your work. So we're going to have to take your word for it.
Oh yeah. Well,
but I've just noticed one of the guys in the chat, the Grey Man, a very good friend of mine in the UK. He's literally just said he's having fish and chips tonight. So.
Well, there you go.
Is there anything you would add to his fish and chips tonight to make it extra special?
Just you have to have a lot of salt and vinegar in there and stuff, and sometimes you have the chips in a bap as well. You know, like a chip body and stuff.
Chip body.
You need a chip body and things. You know, and maybe what you can have is a cup of tea as well. A cup of tea with your fish and chips. You know,
a cup of tea. I've got a cup of tea.
Oh, well, there you go. There's a cup of tea there.
Love a cup of tea.
There's a cup of tea.
There is. There we go. What's your tipple anyway? What are you on? What keeps you sane during working hours and days and stuff?
A lot of tea. A lot of
tea.
Just drink tea and tea and tea and tea. Yeah, it's like, but it's sort of, I don't know. We've been drinking like me and the wife are drinking like almond milk now, you know, in our teas, which is a bit bizarre. I don't know why. What's happened here? But over the lockdown, we've got into almond milk, you know. So it's okay. It's actually, you know, it's not too crazy, you know. But in the tea, there's a little bit of a weird taste, and it's slightly wrong. But you know, I don't know. Yeah, and at nighttime, it's beer. It's beer at nighttime.
Yeah, well, I think the Grey Man.
Not every
the Grey Man's just got onto his tea, and he's got baked beans and not mushy peas. I'm a mushy pea kind of guy.
That is, you can't have baked beans. That's weird. You know, the mushy pea. Yeah, the mushy but I used to get the weird peas that were mushy. There was mush all around them, but the pea itself was like rock hard. You know, and that was the best. That was the best, because where did the mush come from? You know, it's like, I don't know, but they were the nicest. You had the both. It's like the yin and yang, you know, of mush and then solid pea.
Yeah,
the best. And the pea. Do you ever get those peas that in the bag and you have to add the water to them overnight? And no matter how much water you add to them, they never go soft. They're just solid. They're just like rocks.
And sure, they're like peas.
They are. They're like our small pebbles painted grey.
From the beach.
That's it. Yes. Bizarre.
Someone's just wrapped them up. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, this has gone off already. We've talked about comics, and now we're talking about mushy peas and someone's kidney stones. So if you've lost a bag of kidney stones and they've been rebranded as mushy peas,
I've been eating them.
Contact Ryan and he'll give them back to you.
I'll regurgitate them for you. I haven't had them in years anyway. They're long gone.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's it.
So, I mean, getting in, how did you, I mean, my question always to an artist is, how did you get into comic book drawing? I mean, when I was at school, I always used to love doing art. And then that kind of just tail spun, and then I ended up being a visual merchandiser. Now I'm doing like the Geeky Guy Comics thing.
Yeah.
I just assume that you must have just stuck to it from a young age and just continue.
No. I was very into art when I was really young, working away, drawing all the time, you know, drawing everything and stuff. And then I went to art college, and art college basically sort of knocked it out of me, because it was all about like modern art and splattering paint all over stuff, and taking shells and dabbing them in paint, and you know, all this kind of crazy modern art stuff. And they didn't like me drawing at all. You know, it was basically, they didn't like me drawing. They actually got very angry because I wanted to illustrate. You know, and excuse me, they said there was no money in it. There's no money in art. You know, the only way you're going to make money is by you know, being like a sign designer or a graphic designer or something like that. That's the only direction. You know, so basically, while everybody else went along with the flow, you know, in the art college, they went along with the flow and stuff, and they got all their degrees and everything. I basically rebelled against it, and I was like, I want to draw. So after like about 7 years of like fighting this, just the art was like smashed out of my head, and I just gave up. I just, you know, went to work and in a shop in Belfast, a martial arts shop. My parents owned a martial arts shop. And worked in there, and I basically didn't draw, you know, for years. And so yeah, you know, the art college, I think a lot of people have the same sort of experience. In the UK, some places in America and stuff, you know, art colleges are not great. You know, they're not really art colleges, you know, unless you go to some of the good ones, you know. And it's sad, you know. I think that it is sort of true. It is hard to get a job in art, you know, and if you think about it, like concept art and you know, comic art and stuff, there's not a massive amount of jobs there, and it is very hard to get those jobs, you know. I think they're slightly right about that, you know, about graphic design and stuff is probably the way to go if you're wanting to make money, you know, and things. But my brother is an art dealer, and he worked with, or he sold Simon Bisley and Glenn Fabry and a whole pile of other people's artwork for years. And we decided to make a comic called The Dead, and it had like it had Alan Grant he was the writer, Alan Grant, you know, from 2080, and Simon Bisley was doing the covers. Or no, sorry, Simon Bisley was doing the interiors, and Glenn Fabry was doing the covers on it. And we basically did all the rest. We did the graphic design stuff. We did all the coloring. We did all the lettering and stuff. And I did the lettering there. And that was our introduction to comics. You know, we did like a whole pile of issues there. Put it through Diamond and stuff, and because Diamond and because you're an independent comic, it sort of just disappeared into oblivion. You know. It was very hard. It's hard. You know, comics are not easy, even publishing independent stuff. Now, this was a time before the internet, you know, if you can imagine that.
No, I can't.
I don't know when. It was about 10 years ago, you know. Well, I suppose the internet was there, but it was really, you know, very simple.
It was dial-up.
It was all that sort of stuff. But it was like, what do you call that, binary code, you know, 00100101,
and you're looking mouse on a wheel just going around like that.
It takes you about 3 weeks to download one picture, and it's like all these blocks, you know, it's like a smiley face or something, you know. Everybody's amazed, you know. But we did that, and then basically the shop shut. I tried to get jobs all over the place, couldn't get a job anywhere. Housing executive, all that stuff. Tried to get like jobs plastering holes in walls, and tried fire service. Tried everything, and there was millions of people going for these jobs, and there was no hope of getting anything. So, utter desperation. You know, I would say that was probably about 7 years ago or something like that. 7 years ago.
You're only 27, aren't you?
Well, I'm only 18 actually. 18.
COVID's been rough to you,
get that
mate.
Right. 18, and I know. But yes. So like weirdly enough, Simon Bisley then contacted me and said, do you want to do some color? So I said, yeah, and we did a project for our called the Tar Chronicles for Legendary Entertainment, under like Bob Schreck and stuff, and we did about 2,500 pages or whatever, in the next like 2 years, yeah, and at the beginning it was taking me about a day to color one page. And at the end of it, it was taking me about a day to do 12 pages, to color 12 pages. And we were doing 24 or 22 page stories in 2 days. So Simon was drawing them in 2 days and I was coloring them in 2 days. And so it you kind of learned how to color very quickly, and while I was doing that and stuff, like Glenn Fabry and various people, were getting me to color their covers. So they were doing line art and I was coloring them. So it went from coloring to like basically digitally painting over their work and stuff, and I remember I went to a comic convention in Ireland, and there was a DC editor there, and the DC, I had like a little meeting with the DC editor, and the DC editor said, I want to see this stuff looks really good, but I want to see your work, I want to see your drawings.
Yeah.
And, I, at that point, I wasn't drawing anything at all. So it's kind of weird because I got a job with, it wasn't 2008. It was what was it? IDW. I was working with Greg Staples, coloring over some of Greg Staples, covers and stuff.
Yeah.
And the company gave me a chance at doing my own covers, for like a thing called V Wars.
Oh yeah.
And they gave me a run of covers. Now that was the very first time I actually did. That was my very first cover, and that was about 5 years ago. So, and at that point, I hadn't actually drawn for absolutely years.
Really?
I hadn't drawn from before I was in art college.
Wow.
Just that was, so I don't know how many years that was. It could have been 10 or more years. I hadn't drawn anything. So they had gave me a job, based on the way I was digitally painting over people's work. And I said, yes, I'll take the job. It was to do like 13 covers or whatever. And I basically had a shit attack. I thought, how the hell am I going to draw these things? Because I haven't drawn anything in years, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I had no idea how to do it, but I knew how hard it was to get work. So I couldn't pass it by.
Got a fan of your work here. Comic Book Poser just said, I didn't know you did a V Wars cover. That series is dope. I now have to see if I have it.
I did 13 covers, and I think only 12. Yeah, or no, maybe 14 covers actually, and only 13 of them came out. The last cover wasn't put out. I think the story ended or whatever.
Is it annoying when something like that happens, when you do, like you said you've done 14 covers and only 13 of them get done? Do it still get published, not to the public? Do you still get like the credit for it and stuff, or is it just like, that's it, you've done 13 covers?
Sometimes it just disappears. Sometimes it just disappears and doesn't get published. It's the way it goes. You're paid to do the job. Sometimes covers also be used for other things. Sometimes some of my Marvel covers have been used for produce posters and T-shirts and stuff like that as well. And it really depends. But if it disappears, like it's annoying because you spend a lot of time on that. I would spend about a week on a cover, and a lot of intense, effort put into the thing, but it's good to have the work as well.
You
Can't
must
really
have such a
complain.
backlog. I mean, you must have such a backlog of stuff that you haven't done, that you've done that hasn't been published. I guess you could probably make your own library out of that, because not everything, as you just mentioned, gets published. So
Yeah, only some of the covers haven't been published. Only some of them, not an awful lot. Some of the stuff for Marvel recently, because of the coronavirus, has been sort of cancelled, but it may come back at some point. I'm not sure, but it's like if you're working. I've did a lot of work for, like, concept art as well, for films and stuff, and worked for like 20th Century Fox, and
yeah,
I've also worked for Marvel Studios and stuff, and a lot of that, a lot of the concept work and things that you do there, nobody ever sees really,
yeah,
and it's just one of those things. The thing about it, that's one of the things I like about when you're doing covers for comics. The comic comes out and your name is put to that, so
yeah,
it means that people can follow your career.
yeah,
Where people don't, when you do a lot of like work for films and stuff, it just sometimes disappears, and nobody ever knows that you did that work or whatever. And sort of, it's a bit annoying, because it kind of, it does affect your career in a way, because you disappear, for a load of months,
yeah,
and nobody ever sees where what you've did or what happened or whatever, but I like covers, because an interior story, you have to basically, you're like this guy from this side, and
yeah,
this guy from
yeah,
that side, and blah 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 blah. And me personally, like, I don't know whether I would have the patience for all that sort of stuff. I kind of, I'm not saying like I wouldn't do, interiors at some point, but
yeah,
I kind of like the, you do a cover, and you move on to the next character or whatever,
yeah,
and that's why, like, the variant covers really suit me, because it's like you do some weird character in some weird situation or whatever, and then you move on
yeah,
to some completely other bizarre character, completely unconnected or whatever, and it's sort of fun, keeps it all very alive,
yeah, definitely. It's really weird,
enthusiasm.
because obviously I do like visual merchandising, window displays. So I come up with like
Yeah,
window
yeah,
concepts,
yeah,
and I'm interested in doing the window concepts, because that's the first thing
yeah,
people see, and it's kind of like a comic cover. It's the first thing people
yeah,
see. If they're interested in it, they're
of
going to
course.
flick through it. I don't know if I could go into the store and start merchandising the store. That'd be a bit.
No, no.
I'm happy to do my window, get my instant gratitude, and then
Oh yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah,
then,
totally,
then piss off.
totally. Same thing, yeah, same thing, yeah, same thing, yeah. You do that, do the job, and move on to the next one,
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine, I love the idea of doing like a graphic novel or something,
Yeah.
but oh, hello, I'll say hello to that person. Hello. So wait
Dudes
for
talking comics. Do you know what? It's a very we've got a strong UK and US contingency into tonight, so that's great.
good, yeah,
That's what we're
good,
trying to do with the Killer Comic Show. So yeah, but yeah, it's literally the instant gratitude. I'm like, I've done my work, move on to the
yeah.
next one, and
I
it
think
is very much.
you were, I think, like, an interesting thing as well is that you can work for American companies, whether wherever you live. You live on a desert island, you
Yeah.
can work for American companies. It's kind of getting into the industry and stuff. You have to build up a profile, I think.
Yeah.
On the internet, I think you need to build up a bit of a personality and a body of work where companies can see what you're doing and see the feedback on your work as well. Because companies these days, especially in comics, are afraid of taking risks, and so they want a sure thing. They want basically somebody that's going to sell comics for them. So if it's a cover artist, they want to see that it's that catch again, isn't it? It's where they want somebody who's already working in the industry. So how do you get a job if you haven't had a job before? So the best way is go on the internet, start putting your work up there, get some good feedback from people, build a following up, and then a company can come to you and basically say, would you do a cover or whatever. The other thing is, moving for like Marvel and DC and stuff, like trying to get those jobs to start off with, is very hard, to get it from outright where you haven't worked in any other companies. Very often Marvel and DC, they're looking, they want to see somebody who's been working in the industry, for a while. They want to see people who have a bit of a career going already, and what they say is they'll come and find you, they'll come and find you. So if you make a big enough footprint on the internet, on Facebook, Instagram, and all the rest, then they'll come and contact you and sort of ask you to try out for some covers and stuff. I used to, at the beginning, I used to do covers for independent companies, and some of them were for free. Some of them I remember getting paid £10 to do a cover. £10, yeah. And
you can't even get a chip butty for that in London.
You can't. Yeah, no chip butty for £10.
No, mate.
It's so like that's the thing. You have to do those jobs, and people don't like saying when you say that. They don't. Sometimes there's artists. I know there's sometimes people that try and take advantage of artists on the internet and say, look, you'll get exposure here for if you do this work. Oh, thank you for the nice comment. The thing about it is there are definitely people out there that will play on that. Oh yes, you'll get exposure if you do this, whatever. But sometimes you need the exposure,
Yeah, definitely.
It's sometimes a mutual thing. It's if you can team up with a writer, and do some independent stuff and use that as a stepping stone to move into the next level of companies and move yourself up that ladder, depending on where you're wanting to go. If you're wanting to go to Marvel and DC, then work through a lot of companies, work with those, build your portfolio up and stuff. And the other thing is the way you get on social media as well. Like you get people that rant and rave and shout and sort of abuse people and stuff. And I don't think that's the best thing to be doing. If you're trying to get a job in comics where people can look through your kind of your Facebook and Instagram history and see you kind of shouting and abusing people and stuff. You have to think about all that stuff as well, because it's like you're out there for an interview. But everything you do and say on the internet is now going to be judged. So you may not think so, but there are a lot of editors for various companies that are looking through the social media, and they're gonna judge you if they look and see, this is a person we do not want representing our company. You'll not get the job, no matter how.
And they'll go back years. They'll probably go back years and years from something that the person did when they was like first ever got on social media, and it's like, that's your black mark. You ain't working for us. Yeah.
And the other thing you should do is go to get an artist and try and friend an artist and maybe ask them for a bit of advice on your artwork. If you're an artist and you want to get into comics and stuff or concept art or whatever, the best person to ask is another artist. Somebody you admire, if they can take the time to kind of help you a wee bit. Asking your mommy and daddy, is your artwork, this, what do you think of this? Isn't really gonna work. But I still do that. I still ask. I still ask my parents. Hello, parents. They're probably watching this now. I still. I asked them.
I'm just trying to find them in the chat. Ryan Brown's mum and dad. No,
they're probably are somewhere. because they're watching everything that I do. They watch, say, like,
Are they lurking? They're lurking.
they're lurking. Yeah.
So I've just
A lot of
noticed
lurkers in there.
Justice for Comics has said, I thought I recognised this image. I use your zombie art for my channel.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
There's a copyright claim right there.
Yeah, that's right. He owes me £500 now. He owes me £500.
I'll check it tomorrow and it'd just be no cover. There'd be nothing there.
Yeah. I take PayPal.
I'll put his PayPal details in the chat.
You know what? It's good. Like, I don't care. You know, people can use my artwork and stuff. You know, the whatever. As long as everybody, you know, all that artists really ask is that you get credit for the images and stuff, and you know, I don't care. You know, just work away. You know,
he's backtracking now. I forgot to send you that message with the play.
Oh yes. I'll just screenshot him now. I'm screenshotting right now.
It's just screenshotting it now, mate.
You can't escape.
It's going to the High Court in Belfast. You're screwed now, mate.
Yes. No.
So
fine.
Yeah, I mean it must be. It must be the biggest compliment where you you see people on YouTube or Instagram that are shouting out your artwork and stuff. But what I do notice on Instagram is that there are a few accounts out there that will just take people's artwork and just put it on their wall just to get something, and they won't. I mean, it takes literally 2 minutes just to say from Ryan Brown, etc., etc. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I've had companies taking my artwork and putting them on numerous things, you know, and selling the stuff and selling it for really decent money, and you know, making prints out of the stuff, and you know, and also passing my artwork off as theirs as well. You know, it's crazy, but everybody has the same thing. You know, I mean, all artists have the same thing. You can go on the internet and you know speak to anybody, and I'm sure they've all had, you know, people steal their artwork, and what you can't expect anything else. You know, it's like you know, but the thing about it is, I'm kind of. I don't like my artwork, right? But the thing about it is, a lot of artists don't like their own artwork, and if you want to be a professional artist, you have to have two brains. You know, you have to have a business brain and an artist brain, and the business brain is completely separate to the artist brain. The business one is saying promote your stuff, and the art brain is saying, this all looks like shit. You know, I don't want to show anybody this, you know, because you have to think, I've spent like a week looking at that piece of art, and I know where every line, every dot on that piece of artwork is, and I know every fault on that. And all I see are the faults. You know, and somebody, the best you can hope is, you know, somebody spending 1 full minute looking at your artwork, one of your images. That's the best you can really ask for, you know, and that's not a friend, you know.
I think
who's Martina? Is that the artist? Is that
I think he's talking about Francesco Martina.
Oh right.
And then he said Martina is good at copy and paste and slightly manipulate.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Who knows?
But I don't know. Like, you know, I can't even remember what I was saying. But yeah. So that's what happened. The thing about it is, you know, you have to have those two brains. And it's very hard because a lot of artists are self-deprecating artists. They hate all their stuff, and they're very shy and quiet and stuff. And, you know, your artwork isn't going to sell itself. You know, it doesn't matter how good it is. Sometimes you'll get lucky, put it on the internet, and people will spray it around for you. You know, but you have to do the legwork a lot of the time, and you know, that's the sad thing about it. So you know, you have to have those two brains. You know, and that's one thing that I have to, I had to say, well, at the very beginning, I had to think to myself, right, you know, this is a business, and, You have to think of this as a business, and you have to think, how do I promote my work? How do I get more jobs? How do I network with editors? How do you, how do you move up the ladder, because it's important, because if you're on the lower level of art, it's very hard to make a wage, it's hard to make a living on it. And, you can get into a rut of chasing the small money, and when you're chasing the small money, it's paying your bills and stuff.
Yeah.
The problem is it doesn't allow you, it keeps your head on the page, and it doesn't allow you to be able to look at your career and how it's evolving.
Yeah.
That's one of the most important things, I think, and the other thing is not kind of, you can be, everybody is deluded about their own art. They're deluded in two ways. They either think their art is utter shit, or they think it's fantastic, and very rarely will a person have a clear view on what the level is, what their real skill level is. I've drawn things before, and whenever I went back to them, a couple of days later, whenever like the snow blindness is gone, where you've looked at it so much you can't tell, when you go back to it a few days later, you look at it and you go, oh my God, this is utter crap. And how did I not see how bad this was? And the problem is there, you could hand that to an editor and say, go print, because you're under pressure and, deadlines are coming at you, crazy. You could just say, go print it. And that's going to print. And worst case scenario, it's 4,000 copies. Or not, no, not worst case, or, best case scenario is 4,000 copies. Worst, it's like 30, 40, 50, whatever, 1,000 copies, all printed all out there. And then they start making posters of it, and start making t-shirts of it. And then you're looking at that piece of artwork and you're going, oh my God, I'm looking at this, and this is, I just feel utterly ashamed, And that's another thing as well that kind of presses you to get better. You're constantly looking at your own art and saying, I need to get better here, So
who would you say is the first person you go to when you've done an artwork and you're like, right, this is it, before it goes to Marvel or DC or Image or anything? Is it your wife you go to? Is it your brother? Is it your mum or your dad? Is it who is it? Or is it yourself?
It depends. Like sometimes, for a while I was showing the stuff to Simon Bisley, and I was saying to him, what do you think? What's this need? And Amy would look at it for a couple of seconds, and then he'd go, you need to do this, put that in there. And it was like, watching him sort of work like that, it was like he was problem solving the thing. And what it told me was, very often when you think like an image is utter crap, very often it's maybe only one little change, one little change, and it makes a massive difference, and it's you need to look at all the artwork you've did in the past and keep it all and date it all, and go back and look and say, where did I go wrong with that? What did it do right and what did it do wrong? Because hopefully, like 2-year-old work, you can sit and you can say, I know how I could make that better right now. Because that's telling you've learned stuff in that time.
Yeah.
Because your skill level is really slow. It evolves very slowly. It's like a tree growing. You're not going to see the effect of it. But you can see if you took a photograph 1 year and then 3 years later, you can see the difference, and that's the way skill of like art goes. It's very, very slow, but I sometimes you need fresh eyes looking at stuff. Sometimes you'll show somebody it, and if you show the wrong person, your artwork they can see something else that they think's wrong in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can start going on a wild goose chase, running
Mm-hmm.
around, going, "Oh, I've changed this," and then that wasn't what was wrong, you know. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you need the right person looking at that, you know. So if you get a good person that will actually genuinely help you
Mm-hmm.
evolve your work, and that's why I'm saying another artist, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's worth an awful lot because you can evolve a lot faster
Yeah. Would
instead
you
of
say
taking all
Simon
these.
was go on,
Yeah,
go on, right, comment. Yeah, go on.
instead of taking wrong turns all the time,
Yeah.
you know, they direct you slightly. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're still doing all the work yourself, but
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
little helping that
Yeah.
little helping hand, you know, that little direction makes a massive difference. You know,
And would you
and
say Simon was your biggest influence, like, and still is?
yeah, he did definitely help me an awful lot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
gave me advice and stuff. And sometimes it's only a couple of words. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like he wouldn't take the image and redraw the whole thing or anything. He
Yeah,
would
yeah,
just
yeah,
say,
yeah.
you know, change that muscle or change move this to
Mm-hmm.
here or something. You know, or say something about lighting or something like that. You know, and that's all it is really. But that's all sometimes you need, you know. But
Yeah.
it's gold as well. That is gold.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that's like you can somebody that knows can say a couple of words to you
Mm-hmm.
and it'll make a massive change in your art. And that's where
Yeah.
you can see the difference. That's where you could go back to your artwork you did 2 days ago and change it, you know, for the
Mm-hmm.
better. And the trick is also like, you know, the way people say like knowledge and wisdom, you know. Knowledge is like it's remembered information really,
Yeah.
and wisdom is how you apply that information. So the applying of information is important, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding, you know, understanding a process, you know,
Mm-hmm.
understand your process of art and drawing and stuff, so that
Yeah.
you can um, you know, chop the thing apart and say this is correct, this is wrong, this is why this is right, and this is why this is wrong. You know, that's important. You know,
Yeah.
that's
No.
why
No.
sometimes, you know, teaching people is a good thing as well, because it's sometimes it helps you reinforce what you you know, it makes you look at things a slightly different
Yeah.
way because you're trying to
Yeah.
break it down, trying to explain it to
Yeah.
somebody else, you know. So yeah, I mean, you can't really ask for a better sort of
Mm-hmm.
person to sort of help you along than Simon Bisley, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, but other people as well have sort of given me a bit of like sort
Yeah.
of direction and things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You get little snippets of information, you know, Greg Steele's, Liam Sharp,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, everybody else, you know. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, what other is there other like what is your daily like routine of like drawing a comic? I mean, like how often, like if you're working on one comic cover, for instance, I mean, I think we're just going to go back through the chat. One of my mate Tom said, um, I love your Morbius issue one cover art also in my collection. And I've got to
thank
say,
you.
I'm holding it right here.
Oh, you've got it. There you go.
It's fantastic. And I'm going to
Thank you.
get, right, so we practiced this. So I'm now going to get it up on the screen. So we've got to move to the side. Okay.
Oh
So
shit.
we've got,
Okay. Right.
yeah,
Go.
there we go. No, the other side.
Oh,
No,
the
the
other
other side,
side.
right? That's it. There we go. So, I mean, for instance, for something like this cover here,
Yeah.
what would have been your routine for that? I mean, how many hours per day did you work on that, and how did you break up doing
Yeah.
that?
Oh, it's hard to say because they're all different.
Hmm.
But I would say probably about 4 days, probably or something. You know, 4 days of work. Sort of getting up, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and stopping about 6 or something. I don't know. Just
I mean,
working.
because I'm looking at the detailing of that, and I wouldn't see anything wrong. But you're probably looking at that now, going, "Oh, that line on the left hand
Yeah.
claw is out. I should have done that. I
Yeah.
should have done this."
It's you know, see anatomy. You know, whenever the body moves and stuff,
Hmm.
muscles all move, and there's so many muscles, and there's fat underneath the skin, and there's like all those bones, the bone structures move and the muscle,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like that pectoral muscle. The pectoral muscle has like, I don't know, it's like three major parts to it or whatever. It's like, and all various connections down to where the deltoid, underneath the deltoid muscle, and everything else. So it sort of pinches in certain ways whenever you pull that arm back and forwards and stuff, you know. And it's very, very hard to kind of get all that stuff right. And, you know, I don't get it right at all. It's a lot of the time it's just believability. It's not realistic. You know, it's sometimes people say it's photorealistic, but it's not. It's just believability, where you can see a light source make something look like it's three-dimensional, you know, and the idea of like different materials reflected in different ways, so that it looks like hair, so that it looks like skin, so it looks like cloth, you know.
I mean, that is perfect. What you've just said there, like how the light and everything reflects from that. Going on to issue number 2.
Oh, that's not the finished version. That was like I'll show you the finished version.
I think that's the one. Is that the one? I think I've got it here.
No, this is the finished version. See it? See the face?
Yeah. I mean, look at that. That is insane.
The other one was just a mock-up of the cover.
Okay.
And the problem is they put it on in the previews, and it was
the actual one I got. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the rough that I was using for the actual cover.
Right.
But they put it out. They put it out saying it was the actual cover, but it wasn't. So, but see, a lot of
I was looking at that because it was different. When I was looking at that last night, I was like, that is totally different. So I was like,
yeah.
But I mean,
see, you have to do a rough. You have to do a rough and send it into, like, you know, Marvel or DC. Sometimes you send 3 roughs in, and they'll pick whatever one. And I would work up a rough, you know, quite detailed, you know. It sort of doesn't leave it to chance then, you know, because sometimes whenever you would do a cover and you finish it off and you would send it in, sometimes they would want editors would want a bit of a change after that as well. So, you know,
it's already out there.
Well, it's already finished. You've just totally finished the cover, but they want to, like, you know, add a couple of changes. Depend on the company, you know, and depend on the editor as well. Some companies are easier to work with than other companies, and some editors are easier to work with than other editors. Some will want you to do 3 roughs, and then they'll change things, and then then they'll want to see it like halfway through and things. But what I find is the more they work with you, the more they start trusting you, and they kind of say, well, you know, just go for it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because they know that you're not going to, you know, you're not going to put them in shit, you know. Because deadlines are very tight a lot of the time, and like that image that had to go into previews. So what had happened was like I had to do that cover along with a load of other covers, so I had to fit in a really tight schedule. So I only really got the rough done, and they had to put that into previews, so I didn't get the original or the full finished image done. You know, so. You know, that's sort of what happens, which I don't like. I don't like when all those roughs go out because they look terrible.
No, of course, and it looks totally different to the covers. I mean, is that would you say that's one of the most challenging aspects of being a comic artist? Is, I guess, meeting deadlines is obviously, you guys are probably the hardest working people in any industry. I'd say the amount of effort and time you have to put in.
Yeah.
You're being biased.
I don't know. Because like concept artists work day and night, you know, and you know, anybody, I think, see those people that, I mean, see interior artists as well. They're firing out pages. They're doing a lot of, you know, and other people that work in those, you know, the animation studios and stuff. The amount of work you know,
it's like move day by day and stuff.
It's just it's like illustration, more and more and more and more, you know, and those matte painters and various things. No, I think that generally, like in the industry of entertainment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if you've got an art job there, it's like, you
Yeah.
know, you're drawing a lot, you're drawing all day,
Yeah.
every day. And the other thing is, if you're not, there are people who will do that and will work that hard,
Mm-hmm.
and you will not, you know, be able to compete with those people. You
Yeah.
know, so you have to work hard or you will
Mm-hmm.
not compete. And you know, because it is a very hard industry, and there are a
Yeah.
lot of people out there that want your job, you know, and will take
Mm-hmm.
your job. And if you think, you know, oh, I'm working, this is too much work for this, you know, for the
Yeah.
pay I'm getting and all the rest, then, you know, it's, you know, you need to
Yeah.
think, because
Yeah.
that is what it is, you know. And
Yeah.
uh, the glory is, you know, when people look at the art and say that
Mm-hmm.
that's really good, I really like what you're doing and stuff. And when
Yeah.
it comes from people and it's genuine, then it gives you power, you know, it gives you
Mm-hmm.
power.
Yeah.
Because it's nice, you know, that is one of the perks of the job,
Yeah.
really, you know, when people see your stuff and
Yeah.
they
Definitely.
like what
Yeah.
you do, you know. Because that's the one of the most important things, you know. And if people didn't like what you did, you know, you wouldn't have that job. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's down to people liking what you do. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
calling people fans, you know, because to me it kind of feels weird, you know. It's like I just kind of say people that like my work.
Yeah. I mean, are you one of them? Are you one of the old school artists that still use a pen and paper, or what do you use now? Is it the iPad and
Both, both. Well, I
that's
don't really.
so cool.
Yeah, I don't really draw on an iPad, even though I've bought like an
Hmm.
iPad Pro and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, for some reason, I just never got the time. Whenever
Hmm.
I get any new bit of technology, it always takes me a while to kind of get around to using it. And I know it's weird, whenever I first bought a graphics tablet,
Yeah,
I was coloring pages with a mouse, you know, and I had a graphics tablet for a full year
yeah,
before I actually used it. You know, it's like before I got around to using it. And it takes me a while with technology and stuff. Whenever, like, I've used Photoshop since it came out, you know,
yeah, yeah.
um, and it's like, oh, hello, hello. I'll say hello to you as well. Comic book poser,
just
hello.
just this hand comes up and
Yeah, this big giant. Yeah. Um, you know, and it takes me a long time to get used to new technology or whatever. I'm a person, a creature of habit. You know, I use Photoshop and I just stick to Photoshop and I use the same graphics tablet until it falls apart.
Yeah.
You know, and my technique whenever I'm painting with acrylic paint is basically the same thing as I do
Hmm.
when you work digitally, because they're just tools, you know. And
Yeah,
you can use Photoshop as a crutch. You could take a photograph of somebody's head and stick it in there and paint
yeah,
around
yeah,
it and
yeah.
thing. You can do all that stuff, but it's a crutch. You're not
Hmm.
going to do yourself any favors doing it that way. Whenever you
Yeah,
go to draw on a page, it's going to look like shit. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
unless you're building that up. Now, what I would say is, I do find drawing easier on paper than I
Hmm.
do digitally. But you know, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. There's just
Yeah,
something about drawing with like a graphics tablet that just doesn't feel the
yeah.
same as paper. And the thing is, I did that for a lot of years using a graphics tablet. And whenever I started drawing on paper again, I thought, shit, this is so.
Yeah.
The first thing that got me that I thought was weird was, oh, my hand is in the way. You know,
Hmm.
it's like,
Yeah.
so when I was drawing, my hand was actually in the way of the drawing, which is kind of weird, you know, when you're drawing the thing. And but what I realized as well is sometimes whenever I'm painting, um, I'll use a really really long brush,
Yeah.
and the reason you do that is, to put it overallness in, you can see the overall image without your
Yes.
hand
Blocking it.
blocking, you know, because you need to know the values that you're putting down on things.
Hmm.
Sometimes something's too dark, sometimes too light, and you need to see it in relation to everything else.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little tricks that you figure out as you go along,
Yeah.
you know. But like the first time I started painting with acrylic paint, it was like it's the trial by fire thing again. You just had to
Yeah.
jump in and do it, you know. And it's not going to be perfect the first time you do it. You need to just keep working and working. The amount of water mixing with paint, the amount of paint on the brush, the type of brushes you use. Some brushes are rubbish, some are good. The type of surface you're painting on, is it glossy? Is it a matte surface? You know, and also acrylic paints. You know, certain ones, depending on the colors, certain paints are better than others. Reds are really hard. You know, if you get the right paint, a red, you put a really expensive red down, you can see the difference. You know, cheap red is a lot of times rubbish, you know, and it comes down to pigment. You know, there's pigment and then there's like substitute pigment, which is called hue, and some of the cheaper paints use hues instead of pigments. Right, so whenever you put those reds down or those oranges or whatever, sometimes they're crapper. You know, they don't give you this like vibrant color. The other thing is, you know, to get a vibrant red, you have to have a white background. You know, or like a, you know, you could sort of put everything down a little bit grayscale and put that down. But if it's, or put the red overward, washes and stuff. But, you know, if you've got like another color on, then you said, oh, should I want to put a really nice red down there? You put it on and it becomes murky, you know. You have to prepare things a lot of the time. You know, you have to have a plan behind where these colors are going. And if you're going to put a nice red down and there's a dark color, you need to put a couple of layers of white and then you put the red on top of it, you know. So it's like there's things you need to learn, you know. It's interesting, very interesting. But again, you know, people think working digitally, you know, the computer does it all for you and all the rest. And there's a disadvantage to using digital. You could rework things for infinitely. You know, when do you stop? When do you stop? You know, you could change colors forever. You know, when do you stop? It comes down to your, you know, what is your vision of that piece of artwork? What do you want it to look like? And you need to stop when you decide this is correct. This is the way I want it. You know, obviously there's, you know, digitally is a bit faster than, you know, painting physically, you know, but, and you could, you know, you can cut an arm out and move it, or you cut an object out and move it, or whatever. Where if you do it physically, you could do the same thing, but you're going to have to paint over it and move it that way, and it's going to take longer, you know. But the other thing as well is if you're working digitally, you know, editors know you're working digitally and they say, oh, this person can change the color of this, can change the arm to this, can change that. Where if they think it's physical, you know, they're maybe not going to give you as many, you know, changes to work with. So, you know, there's advantages and disadvantages to both, you know. So,
but I mean, obviously, like, so with the changes and stuff like that, has there ever been a situation where a company's used an artist to do a comic book cover, they haven't liked it, and they've come to you and said, we'd like to go with you instead? Does that happen quite regularly? I mean, is there like a tender? Is there a tendering process between like 3 or 4 artists that the company will use, and then they'll pick the best one?
Sometimes, if you're signed into an agreement, you know, very often they, you know, very often they'll go, right, you know, we've seen their artwork, we've seen the roughs, we've seen everything, we're happy enough, we're happy with this person. Very rarely something will go wrong, you know, maybe somebody gets sick or somebody whatever and can't do a job, and it'll be fired to you or whatever. Very rarely will they pick or say that, you know, oh, this guy's did a crap job. Sometimes it works, it happens in concept work, you know, where we've got designs from somebody and they go, you know, this is not working, we need to go in another direction here. And you know, let's take this person and see what they come
Mhm.
out with, and it sometimes happens that way,
Yeah.
and sometimes
Yeah.
I have had, you know, concept art from other people that they've
Mhm.
said, can you, do something with this or
Mhm.
whatever. So I think concept art's a wee bit more ruthless that way, where they kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
they take your work and they just change it whatever
Mhm.
way they want and stuff, Very rarely will they sit, in comics, will they go, here's a cover, change that,
Mhm.
very rarely will that ever happen,
Yeah. I mean,
but
because I've got a.
yeah,
Yeah, go on, Mike. Sorry, mate. Go on.
but sometimes like for films and stuff, like,
Yeah.
you, or like computer game stuff or whatever, you could have like a conference call of maybe 8 people
Mhm.
who are sitting there, and they're basically saying, this guy could say, can you, can we have this guy in the
Yeah.
background, change him, could you change that, can you have this going on the foreground, blah blah
Mhm.
blah. And then what happens is you end up, it's not really your piece of art,
Mhm.
it's like a, designed by committee, so
Mhm.
you've got all these people's inputs, and then, they'll want to see like 3 stages of it. At the
Mhm.
beginning stage they'll change it,
Yeah.
at the middle stage they'll change it, at the end they'll change it again.
Mhm.
So there's been so many changes in there, but the problem is then it goes out as your piece of art. It goes out with your name on it, so
Mhm.
people look at that and go,
Yeah.
oh, well, that doesn't look like Rand's usual work,
Yeah.
or that, I don't really like this, or don't. And the problem is people don't know, people don't see that, they don't see that is the process sometimes, and you'll still get judged for all those,
Mhm.
and the other thing is sometimes people will judge you on a piece of art that you do, and you only had like a day and a half to do it,
Mhm.
and it was piled in the middle of a whole pile of other things, but you just had to get it done.
Mhm.
Nobody ever sees how much you've been paid for a job,
Yeah, they just see
or
the end
how
product.
long. They see the end product.
Yeah.
Somebody could have paid you £10 to do a
Mhm.
cover, but they'll look at that piece of artwork and they'll say, that doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
So my opinion is, I shouldn't say this because editors are probably listening, but if I'm paid £10 or I'm paid whatever, I have to do my best work.
Yeah.
I have to do my best work, because people are only going to judge you by your work, and that's going
Yeah.
to live on the internet.
And that's the standard you set yourself. I think if you think, oh, I don't know, I'm getting £5, I'm only going to put £5 worth of effort into it. But I
You're
mean,
going
as
to
you
get
said,
nowhere.
like everything is on the internet these days. Like
Yeah,
your worst work to your best work is on the
yeah,
internet. You're going to be
yeah,
judged the same on that,
yeah.
because social are probably the biggest critics. Like you could do a
Mm,
fantastic piece of artwork, and if they don't like it, they'll share it, they'll slate it, and before you know it,
yeah,
it's lost in cyberspace and it's being slagged off and everything like
yeah,
that. So it's kind
yeah,
of like
yeah,
Marvel, DC, the big publishers and the
yeah.
big players and everyone, their opinion is kind of irrelevant as soon as it hits
Hmm.
social media.
Yeah,
You're at the power of, like, they've said it. I can't
yeah,
literally do anything now. That's their opinion.
yeah, yeah. And that's,
I mean, yeah, go
so
on.
you're not doing yourself any favors by doing
Yeah.
doing £5 worth of
Hmm.
work,
Yeah.
or whatever. You just have to do your best,
Yeah.
and you have to constantly do your best,
Hmm.
because you have to know, you have to realize that there are people out there that are probably hungrier than you are to get
Yeah.
those jobs. And if you say to yourself, well, I got paid crap money there, so I'll
Yeah.
just do a crap job, then
I mean,
you're going to get nowhere.
it is. I mean, it's. I think it's, if you've got the willingness inside you to just put 100% into anything, you can't
Yeah,
go. You really can't go wrong.
yeah.
And I mean, one
It's
of
a
the
different.
questions
Yeah,
I've just had
yeah.
here
Oh yeah,
is,
yep.
what's your favorite piece of work? I mean, I'm going to show mine now. I'm going to show, because I
Okay.
I bought it.
I'll move.
This
I was
this was
going to move to the
fantastic.
side again. I was going to move
I
to the
managed
side
to.
again.
I got this one, but I'm also going to put it up on the screen as well. So yep, you can move
Oh,
to the
hold on.
side as well. No, the other side.
Oh, Oh, I got it wrong again.
I mean, this for me, I mean, I think it kind of follows on to another question I've got. So obviously, this is the Immortal Hulk, one of the probably the best-selling comic runs of all time.
Yeah.
Do you read a lot of comics?
Not at the moment. See, the thing is, I'm dyslexic as well, so I don't really read a lot of anything.
Yeah.
You know, I listen to a lot of audiobooks and stuff. You know, I listen to a lot of audiobooks while I'm working as well. It's one of the things that I find a lot of artists do. They either have like the TV on and have like some films going on or something, but not something too interesting that takes your attention away from your work. You know, so I don't really read a lot of stuff, comics. And the other thing is, you know, what you find is, see, when you're working in comics a lot, you have no time to read anything.
No, of course you don't.
I get complimentary copies, you know, for everything that I do, you know. Very often I'll like give them away free, little competitions on my Facebook and stuff, you know. And,
how many donuts did you eat, by the way?
I haven't put it on my Facebook yet, but
it's
well,
don't say.
I'm not going to say,
because I've entered into it as well. So
yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. And there was people with crazy things like 20 something, and I don't know what sort of size to think I am. You know, I know there's those little people, donuts. You know, those like speed eaters and stuff. You know, and they're little tiny people, and they just fit. They just go with the hamburgers, you know, and they're like 30 hamburgers they just shove into their face, you know, and I don't know, but yes, that I'll do that competition tomorrow. I kind of got swamped with work again, so I didn't get a chance.
I mean, that was one of my favorite covers, and also this one. I'm a massive Harley Quinn fan, so to see this.
Hold on, do I move to the side? Oh,
I'm gonna go as well. I've got on the other side. Look.
Yes.
But I mean, this was the re-announcement of the new Suicide Squad, and this cover was just this cover was so hard to get hold of. I've noticed that a lot of your covers are US based. Is that because of the market isn't in the UK for you, or is it just the fact that I've always wondered that?
Yeah, sometimes what I do is most of the covers I do are variants, but some of the things like the Morbius were you know main covers and stuff. Some of the variant covers are directly through Marvel, so they're Marvel's own variants, and then other ones would be retailer exclusive variants, and like I would work with what do you call them? Comics Elite. I would work with Comics Elite a lot, you know. Various other companies and stuff. That was for Unknown Comics, this one here. But you know, so they would actually get an exclusive cover from Marvel or DC, but they would have to ask for me to actually do the covers for the whatever, you know. So they ask for whatever artist they want to have a thing, but they have to buy them in bulk, so they have to like invest a lot of money in a cover, you know. So they need a cover that's going to sell, an image that's going to sell, and an artist hopefully that's going to sell, you know. And which has been nice that, you know, those companies have took a risk on me, you know, because at the beginning when I was doing those, I've only really been doing those for like a year and a half now, and so they're taking a risk, a lot of money, you know, on me doing a cover for them.
Yeah,
you know,
this is incredible. This is amazing.
Yeah, well, the idea was again size, you know, scale. So I wanted to make him gigantic, and if you look at the Hulk one as well, I kind of made Hulk like absolutely gigantic.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, and Wolverine's claws are too big, you know, they can't fit in his forearms, obviously. They're just far too big. But it's not, I mean, it's comics again, isn't it? It's like again, it's the believability rather than the realism.
Yeah.
You know, and the size of like Hulk's arms in comparison to his head and his chest, it's all totally crazy, you know. But it's, you know, it's a stylized thing, you know. So
I mean, issue 22 that you did as well, issue 22, which I think is here. This is a great cover. This is in, but again, like, I mean, his foot in the background is the size of it's just. It's, it's
and the size of his the Abomination, the size of his fist is ridiculous. You know, it's like you just kind of you have to change things. It's like what does that image need? You know what I mean? What does it need to sell that image, to make it kind of
a chip buddy? We need to be holding a chip buddy.
Chip buddy, yes. See, in the large fist up there, if we can get up, there should be a chip buddy in there, and a chip between the Hulk's toe. See the big toe up there? Should really be.
I was going to say a bag of mushy liver peas.
Mushy peas, yes. And the Hulk's head was smashed into the mushy peas. Yeah, and they're like, that was the variant of the variant. You know, the chip shop variant that was.
The chip shop variant. Yeah. I mean, have you got? That was me just singing your praise, saying how fantastic these are. What's your favourite piece that you've worked on, or is it something that you've currently worked on?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I kind of like. Oh crap! I don't know. I like some of the Joker ones it did. You know, the Joker.
Oh, as if by magic. It's like this was planned. How good was that?
Yeah. Well, there's like, see the story behind this, right? I don't know if people get the whole thing, but if you look in the back in the left, you'll see the hint of a coffin, like you can see like the cloth of the coffin.
Yeah.
And up at the top, underneath the sign, or underneath the Joker thing, it says Gotham Funeral Parlor, right?
Right, okay.
And they're on a sofa, and this is a funeral home they're in. And the Joker, they're on the book underneath the Joker's leg says how to exhume your first body. So it's like a humorous thing, like it's like a DIY. Do it yourself. How do you dig up bodies, you know?
Yeah.
So that's his book that he had to, you know, get to figure out how do you exhume bodies, right? He's also painted all the bodies that he's dug up in the graveyard. He's painted them all as like the Bat family, you know, he's painted them all. There's his paint and stuff. He's painted them all up. And like look at like the Robin there. So these are just people. These aren't the actual family, you know, these aren't the real characters, you know, and he's just posing, you know. The other thing is you can see in the shadow, or in the background, the big shadow underneath the 80. See if you see the Virgin version of this, the shadow is the head of Batman, and it's like it is the shadow of the Batman figure sitting down, but it could also be the shadow of Batman coming through a door. Where the Joker where the Joker is looking basically at Batman. It's like he's smiling, saying, "What do you think?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like creepy and eerie and uncomfortable and disturbing, you know. And I was surprised that the DC allowed that kid, the dead kid there, you know, because we've had a bit of pushback with certain covers, you know.
Yeah.
With this being too, you know, they didn't want certain things this way and certain things that way, and there was changes and stuff. But this one slipped under the radar, and you know,
this is. I mean, how do you come up with this idea? Like, what is your thought process for? I'm going to have Joker sitting there in a morgue and he's painted dead bodies.
Yeah, it's kind of. I don't know. I can't remember. I think the guy Sean, right? Sean, who like owns Comics Elite.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we would do is we would chat about like covers and stuff, and he would say about his ideas, what he wanted to do, and I'd be like, no, we need to do this or whatever. And sometimes he comes up with the idea, sometimes I come up with an idea, and you know, and it's like, you know, you get this idea and you go, shit, we have to do that. So you're scribbling away, really scribbly, and not worrying about detail or anything, just trying to get an idea on the page, sort of thing. and it evolves. The idea then evolves, so then you have to add elements all around the place, to kind of sell that image. And the thing is, I don't like telling everybody the full story. I like leaving it for them to try and figure out what the story is, because you don't need to spoon feed people. It's better sometimes if people have to and if you look at the back, he painted the wall with J's and stuff. For the Joker. And there's loads of little things all floating about, but a lot of covers I do that as well. I put little things.
Well, I was going to say that, like, I find your covers, it's like finding where's Wally, where is the Ryan Brown statement thing. I mean, obviously here it's on the paint. I think in the Hulk one, it was in a chunk of concrete that had come off. So I mean, do you purposely do that, like your little calling cards? It's them little touches that make, I think.
Little bits and pieces. Sometimes the cover is a simple cover, just like a head or a pose or something. But whenever I get some time, I like to do this type of thing. Do something a bit different. I did like for Dark Horse, I did creepy covers, two covers for them, and really like that type of stuff. I like all the horror. Before I started all the Marvel and DC work, I was actually starting a book. I was going to do a horror art book.
Oh wow!
And I was going to kickstart that as well, but unfortunately, the Marvel sort of stuff came along, and it sidetracked that project. So, but at some point I will get back to that again. Because I want to do a whole book of horror.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be real creepy stuff, creepy, disturbing things, And
because you've done zombies and everything in the past, haven't you? Like Justice for Comics has obviously got that one piece there. It's amazing. But you've also done like the deceased range, haven't you? Like so.
Yeah, I did those. Yeah. How many?
The Wonder Woman was. I like the Wonder Woman one. That was pretty cool.
You. Yeah, I did that, and Marvel Zombies as well. I did a couple of covers for those, and some aren't out yet. Marvel Zombies ones. There's only a certain distance you can go with these things. Amount of gore and stuff. You can't really go very gory. Because sometimes like kids are buying this. The Marvel and DC stuff, but it's more about creepiness, really. And I kind of like the idea, the expression being, confused, like they woke up and they're dead or something, and they're like they don't. I
mean, if I see her coming through my bedroom door, that lasso of truth, I'm running, I'm off. I don't care.
I think I'd probably do the same thing. But it's like. There's like, if you look at the top, you can see the shadow above her head. It's the shadow of the top of the door, so it's like a plot or implied information. Doesn't need to be there. It's just telling you what isn't there, but that type of thing. So it's little implied things. And other weird things like like she's pushing a door open. And so it's dark, right? So it's bringing it to the foreground. And in the background, you see the wall, You're just adding textures of like pieces of our bricks and, things like that, and wood. Sometimes you need certain things like that, wood in there, because you've got the shiny kind of armor. And you make that armor look like it's ground down a bit and worn, and it has two different types of metal to it and stuff, two finishes to it. And then reflections and things, it's and you have to look at, like, I would go on the internet and type in like scratches on skin or whatever, and see what a scratch really looks like, and how it kind of, how the skin looks when it's been scratched, because it's not going to be like a big open wounds all the time. And unless the image needs that, in this image, I don't think it needed that. It needed to be more subtle,
I'm just in awe at some of your work, mate. I'm looking at it thinking, If I was to draw that, it would not look anything like that.
It's like, but there's a lot of, I mean, see, sometimes when I'm drawing that, what happens is, you know, 90% through, it looks like a piece of shit. And, you know, the last 10% usually makes a big difference. You know, usually like adding all those little reflections and details and refining certain parts in the face. You know, those bits really make the big difference. You know, see that image. See if you took that strong light off the nose. You took that strong light off that nose and took the strong light of the shadow of her nose off that kind of chest area. That image wouldn't be very exciting. You know, they're the two exciting parts of that image. And it's because you're breaking the human face up and creating shapes on them that's interesting to look at, you know. All you need to do is sometimes get your face in different light sources and see how a shadow over the face can give it the effect of like round or, you know, three-dimensional ness, you know. And that's kind of what you're, because if you look at my face here, the shading, you know, we've all seen that shading light from the side. We've seen it a billion times, you know? And if you've got a strong light like that one on her face, you know, it adds drama. And that's kind of, you know, you need that sometimes. An image sometimes needs that. You know, it depends on what the image is, you know. You need, I mean, a lot of the time I say it's like medicine, you know, it's like you're looking at an image and what does that need? And if you've got a bit of experience, you can look at an image and say, I know what the medicine that's going to make that image better, you know, what that image needs. You know, sometimes it needs light, sometimes it needs warmth, sometimes it needs a bit of cool, blah, 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 blah. You know,
I mean, because it seems at the moment, it seems like these Marvel, like the zombies variants, the deceased variants, everything, they're coming thick and fast. It seems like everyone's doing them. I mean, would you say something like this is more enjoyable to do than just a normal variant cover, because you're taking that hero or villain and you're kind of putting them into another state of form that isn't really seen?
Yeah, sometimes, you know, but I kind of like horror and zombies, you know, so I kind of gravitate towards that. But the thing about it as well is you want variety, you know. If you're drawing zombies over and over and over again, it's a bit like The Walking Dead, you know. I love The Walking Dead, and then it went into a million episodes, and it just you just lost interest. Even though I love zombies, it just killed me, you know. And it's the variety, you know. So sometimes you get bored of certain thing, and then you want to just go off, you know. It's like I did a cover, Gwen Stacy, you know, for like Marvel, and they had said to me, you know, do you want to do this for a bit of a change, you know? And I was like, all right, because it was just you know, it was her sitting at a mirror brushing her hair, you know, which was totally mental, you know. And but it was a change. It was a change from all the superhero stuff and everybody's jumping off a building or jumping or whatever and blah blah. And, you know, it gives you a chance to just do something totally different. So I kind of like a bit of change sometimes, you know, and then you go back to what you're doing, you know, the usual things.
I mean, what would you say is I think the comic book poser asked this question. Let me just find it. What's your dream character or series to work on?
I don't know. I like Doctor Doom. I like the Joker.
You did the Doctor Doom one, didn't you? Where it was he was changing into Doctor Doom. That was amazing. That was because you could physically see the form he was changing. So you was like looking at it across the page as it was happening. It was
stretch his eyeball and stretch stuff like that, you know. I like all it's again evil people, you know, the evil stuff. It's kind of the evil stuff's more interesting, I think. But then saying that as well, like at some point I would like to draw Superman, you know, because you want to do it for the sake of doing it, you know. It's like, you know, these characters of, you know, a lot of history to them, you know. They're like, it's like there's a lot of nostalgia, you know, and it's like what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work through a list of characters. You know, it's like Wolverine. You want to draw Wolverine, you know, and it's like every time they say, you know, Marvel or DC would come to you and say, you know, do you want to draw Spider-Man, right? And you'd go, all right, okay, I'll draw Spider-Man. I'll draw Spider-Man, and then it's like the next one, they're like, do you want to draw the Red Goblin? And then I'm like, all right, I'll draw the Red Goblin. I'll draw the Red Goblin. And then it's like, do you want to do Venom? And I'm like, all right, okay, I'll draw Venom. And it just goes on and on. And it's like they've got like 1,000 characters, you know, and that's only like Marvel, and then DC's got it. It's like you're just like, it's like supermarket sweep, you know. I'm just throwing all these things into my shopping trolley, you know. It's like, you know, how many characters can I work on? I'll just go for this one now, and I'll go to that one, and I'll go to this one and stuff. But, sometimes you do ones that you don't connect with, but you know,
I mean, talking about Venom, I mean, this is Venom number 27.
Yeah,
and
that's a new character.
Yeah, this is. I mean, the Venom run has been insane.
Yeah.
Donny Cates has absolutely smashed it. I think it's like issue 20. We're on issue 26 at the moment, but
yeah,
this is. I can see what you mean when you're talking about like the reds, the impactful of the red colors. It's the first thing you go to.
Yeah, red. Well, I mean, red stands out, doesn't it? It's like, you know, there's something in us that we see red on things.
Yeah.
Blood, isn't it? It's like we've evolved to kind of to take heed of red because it's blood. You know, it means danger. It means we're bleeding, or it means something else is bleeding. And, you know, the other thing is, you know, look at stop signs, look at everything. Warning signs are red. They're all because we see red, because we, you know, we recognize red. The other thing is there's a thing called the red light shift. You know, in nature, red is the slowest color, you know, and so when you see like stars in the sky, and whenever you see a red star, it means that star's dead, and it's on the that's the last light of that star coming to us, you know, to our eyes. So like red, it's called the red light shift, you know, and so red is the slowest color, so it stays longest, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, this is
interesting.
do you know what? It's very interesting, and like I think it does. You can kind of see why red is used as one of the most impactful things, because on any comic, if there's red in it, your eyes are drawn to it, and then you kind of just open from that.
And the other thing is, like, you put, like, if you put warm and cool colors, you know, you put a cool color beside a warm color, you know, it's like gold. You know, if you use too much gold, it doesn't have that, it doesn't stand out, I think, as much, you know. You use a speck. See, imagine a speck of white on a solid black page.
Yeah.
You know, that speck of white's going to stand out. You know the way people say about, wait a minute, what's this?
He's just asking you a question.
3 commissions. Oh, right, okay.
I think that's going back to the, can you draw Spider-Man? Can you draw Red Goblin? Can you draw Namor?
Yes, I love drawing. I love drawing them all. Commissions and stuff. I did, like, I've actually, well, I've only did one commission. Well, I've only got one commission on at the minute, and it takes me so long to do them. And well, it doesn't. It doesn't take me so long to paint them, but it takes me so long to actually get around to paint them, because I've got so much, like, cover work, and they're usually high end stuff. So, you know, fully painted, you know, jobs and stuff. I don't really do commissions, you know, kind of just don't have time, really. Sketches and stuff, you know, I do the all the time when I'm at conventions and things, but usually very scribbly sort of things, you know. But yeah, I don't know,
I
what
mean,
was I talking about?
we were talking about the flash of red and the flash of white
Oh
and
yeah,
and,
yeah. I
and
mean,
stuff.
so you know the way they have this thing called the spark of life, where you
Hmm.
put a like a little white dot in the eye,
Yeah.
of your pain. And it's very often that that little dot creates shine, so that it's high gloss,
Hmm.
Um, and what it also happens is if you do it right in the rest of this
Hmm.
face, there are no other little dots of white. So the
Right.
idea is that little dot stands out in a face that doesn't have any other little dots.
Hmm.
So it's the fact that there's a minimal amount of that used,
Yeah.
that makes that stand out so powerfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's
I
that's
mean,
the
yeah.
trick a lot of the time. It's using things to the right amount,
Hmm.
because if you overuse them, you kill the power that it has. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I mean, because I think if there was any more white in that picture, that's
Yeah.
kind of taken out. You're kind of drawn away from that. It's just
Yeah.
not as
Yeah.
empowering as that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
some of these covers have to be done very fast as well. It's kind of so you have to go use methods that are going to be fast,
mhm.
fast and effective a lot of the time to
Yeah.
kind of, because you have to move on to the next cover
Hmm.
very quickly. Some covers you can spend a lot of time on, other
Hmm.
times you can't spend as much time on it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Like I would like to spend a lot of time on everything, but I mean sometimes you can't. It's
Yeah.
it's the unfortunate thing about it.
No.
Some
And I
covers
mean,
you'll not like as well whenever it goes out in prints.
yeah. And do you know if
People
it's going to be a virgin cover or not before, as you're doing it, or?
sometimes, but not always. It really depends.
Hmm.
You just work the thing where there's going to be some detail sometimes on the top, and the other thing is sometimes you don't want the whole thing full of detail at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want a piece empty. Like I like the old paintings, where you see like in the museums, of a portrait of somebody, and it
Yeah.
has like a black background on it,
Hmm.
and it's not like it doesn't have like a whole detailed background. Sometimes I like to put a whole detailed background in. It,
Yeah.
it really
Yeah.
depends, but I think you can do both depending on what you want to do. It's your
Yeah.
piece of art, they don't always have to be like
Hmm.
tons and tons and tons of detail.
Yeah.
You know,
I
some
mean, I
it's
don't think.
just what works, what sells you that image.
Yeah.
And you know,
Because I think anything, if there was any title or anything added to that, it kind of just takes it away.
yeah,
It kind of takes it away from the actual image.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? If it has Venom
yeah,
27 plastered all over it,
yeah.
I'm looking at it trying to find where you've put Ryan Brown, and I can't find it anywhere.
Oh, it's bottom right. There's bit missing of the image there, but it's like
Uh,
bottom right somewhere.
right, let's see if I can hide it.
Oh, there you
Ah,
go.
there we go.
Come
There we
on.
go.
Yeah,
But this is like we've planned this before,
I
right?
know. Look, I don't know. I'll move out of the way so that you can see that.
Yeah, I'm going to move that way as well.
Yeah,
But
but
I mean, it's just awesome. Like this is, I mean, some
thank
of
you.
them you hide them, some of them you just leave them out in the open, and it's like, oh, what's he doing this week? The big hands coming. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you're trying to break the two-dimensionalness of the
Yeah.
screen or the comic, the piece of
Hmm.
paper, Um, and it's a technique again, isn't it? It's like you're trying to create depth.
Yeah.
You're trying to make that look like it's three
Hmm.
dimensionals or 3 dimensions, and you're breaking that kind of two-dimensional flatness. If you
Yeah.
draw the whole thing where everything's all flat in the same thing,
Yeah.
layers, then it
Hmm.
doesn't come out at you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want things to come out at you. Now,
Hmm.
so you can overkill. You can use it too much. Where like the person's grabbing like this.
Hmm.
And that people will say, "Oh God, he's doing the same thing over and over again,"
Yeah.
and then it gets boring, and you know, so it's like sometimes you cover yourself. It's like a bit like a Dracula kind of thing,
Yeah.
or whatever, where he's like running like this sort of thing,
Hmm.
and all the wind's blowing everything, and it's like I don't know. you have to show movement, don't you? You know,
Yeah.
movement stuff.
But I mean, stuff like this. Obviously, this is Marvel, but then obviously you work for Marvel, DC, Image, IDW. Being a fan of Marvel and DC, it must have been like a boyhood dream being asked to work for.
Oh yeah,
for them.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. You know, I've did like for IDW. I've worked on Mars Attacks, Gears of War, GoBots,
Turtles,
Ninja Turtles. I don't know, loads of other stuff. I can't remember. Just Turtles, yeah, Turtles.
I mean, that's just awesome.
You know, I've did a lot of stuff, a lot, and for a lot of different companies and a lot of different things and stuff. You know, I always wanted to work on, and but like, you know, Marvel and DC, like they've got a lot of characters that have been around for a long time, 70 years, 80 years, whatever. You know, and they've had an awful lot of money pumped into them, and they're a part of history, really, aren't they? You know, part of the Second World War and stuff, with like Superman and everything, and you know, it's just, you know, like the X-Men, and you know, it's Spider-Man and all that, and getting a chance to like even to draw, you know, do a cover for something like that, actually, to get a chance to do anything like that at all is just, you know, brilliant. You know, see, you know, I don't take it lightly at all. I don't take it lightly. I don't, you know, I know at any moment they could say, you know, he's washed up, let's move on, get another artist. You know, they'll, you know, because there's so many artists out there, and, you know, you don't know how long your run's going to be, you know, but, all you can do is just try your best, try and kind of, you know, be nice to everybody, and, you know, build your profile, and kind of hope everybody enjoys what you're doing, you know, because if I'm enjoying it, then I think, you know, I think it comes through in the artwork as well. So people, you know, people can see that I'm enjoying it, and they kind of enjoy it as well. I can't say what it would be like after 30 years of working in the industry. You know, it's like, you know, maybe at some point I'll go, oh, I'm bored. You know, I'm doing the same shit over and over again, you know, and, you know, I can't expect anything different, really. You know, like anybody that's worked in the industry for any length of time, did every pose, everything, and every character and whatever. And it's, you know, but at this moment, I am still extremely enthusiastic about it. You know, you know, my artwork is not where I want it to be. You know, it's like,
really,
you know, I can, no, God no. You know, I want it to evolve. I want it to get better. I can see places that need, you know, vast improvement, you know, vast improvement. I look at a lot of different artists out there and say, shit, that is way better than what I'm doing. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to look on Instagram and Facebook, and, you know, because there's so many other artists on there, and they're piling the work on. And I think, shit, look at the speed these people are. They're doing a cover a day, you know, and so it's just, you know, it's hard. It's a hard thing. I think sometimes people think it's easy, you know, you're drawn for a living, but that kind of wears off slightly.
I'm just going to put that up there because that led on to what you just said. Is like, obviously you look on Instagram, Facebook, and things like that. Is there like a secret society of artists where you've got your own WhatsApp group and you're all talking, oh, what are you working on this week? Oh, I'm working on this. What about
you? Sometimes you just chat to people, because, you know, when you go to conventions, you kind of meet up with people, and because you're an artist and you're sitting working all the time, and you don't really get out an awful lot, and your skin's very pale and transparent, you know, and the only time you get to see anybody is at a comic convention. that you go around and chat
I've just
to
got to
all
put
these.
this up.
Yeah, that's probably the color of my skin, to be honest. I feel like this is all makeup I've put on. Usually, I look like one of those like insects that are on the beach, you know, that are like, you know, under the rocks that you can
They
see their
just
heart
peek up.
beating and stuff.
Yeah.
If I took my clothes off here, you'd be able to see my heart beating, you know, you'd be able to see everything like a transparent. I'm like one of those things that they learn anatomy from, you know.
Yeah.
I'm so transparent. People are shocked whenever I go to America. They're like, what the hell? How can you be so white? Yeah,
It's because
I'm
Belfast
whiter than,
sounds so sunny. Belfast sounds
yeah.
like a sunny place, and it's really not.
No. I don't know where you heard that. I'm telling you. I don't know where you heard that. I don't think anybody's went to Belfast and thought it was warm. You know, it's terrible. It's like mold grows in everything. See if you stand outside for 10 minutes, mold's growing on you. You know, I'm telling you, it's terrible. I have to bring a scrubbing brush, scrub myself down. I put my cat outside for 10 minutes and he comes back and he's green. You know, it's
Jesus.
terrible. Yeah. So I don't know. What was he saying? Oh yeah, who's your favorite artists?
Who's your favorite knight? Who do you admire?
Was that your question or somebody else's question?
No, that was from Justice for Comics.
All right. Oh, him again.
He's your fanboy.
I don't know whether I should answer any more of his questions. Using that avatar again. Who's my favorite artist? God, I don't know. There's an artist, Del Otto, you know.
Delotto, yeah.
He's like, yeah. And Lucio Perello, his stuff
Perello,
is
yeah.
brilliant. And Simon Bisley and Glenn Fabry and you know, I like Liam Sharp stuff, and there's so many, you know, like Alex Ross,
yeah,
and Frazetta's stuff as well. There's so many people, so many. But the thing is, you're kind of inspired by different people for different things. You know, like some people do like certain things really good, and you kind of go, you know, this is another interesting thing, right? You know, the way style, you know, people say about style and stuff, and sometimes people say, you know, they want to find their style or whatever. And on other times people will look like an imitation of somebody else. You know, there for a long time there were a lot of imitations of like Simon Bisley or there's a lot of imitations of Jim Lee or something like that. I think people who are imitations very often are people who only have one source of inspiration. So they are imitating that person, right? If you have if you're inspired by, say, you know, 3, 4, or 5 people, then what happens is you take a little bit of inspiration from each of those, add it all to your artwork, you know, and it just naturally turns into something. You know, it naturally turns into something different. It won't look like an imitation of Jim Lee or of Simon Bisley or whatever. It won't look like that, an imitation anymore, because there's more inspirations. And the other thing is everybody is inspired by somebody. And, you know, you may think Simon Bisley is completely unique, but he has his inspirations. You know? And the thing is, everybody has their inspirations. You just don't know who they are. You just haven't seen, you know, or that you haven't asked that person. You know? People just don't appear from nothing. You know, it's extremely rare that anything like that ever happens. You know, because you have to have a bit of a starting point, a reference point of some sort. You know? You know, I like, you know, even paints in museums, you know, I like old masters and stuff, you know, like the pre-Raphaelites. See, when you look at those, and very often they're full of detail, full of story, you know, but then they also get the anatomy very, very well done, very right. A lot of my anatomy isn't right, but it's believable enough, you know.
Yeah. I mean, to the untrained eye, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the trick. That's the trick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
you're a magician.
Yeah, but that is what it is. Yeah. It's like you have to say to yourself, where am I going to put the time and effort?
Yeah.
You know, you need to put the time and effort into certain spots because you only have a limited amount of time. So, you know, the other thing is you could train and train and train and learn anatomy to like the extreme level, but how much do you really need to do a cover for people to go, that looks right? You know what I mean? You don't need to get it completely, you know, 100%, you know, because the only people that are going to look at that and say the anatomy is not 100% are like other artists that are extremely good and whatever. 98% of the public are going to look at it and go, oh, look at that, you know. When you put all the little lights and flashes in and whatever, you know, you have to remember it is a comic cover. If it was a piece of fine art and you wanted to spend half a year on it or whatever you wanted to do, and you wanted it all to be perfect, then you know you can spend the time doing it, you know. But you have to remember, you do a cover and then you do the next cover and then you do the next cover and you do the next one and the next one, you know, and you need to know what, you know, you need to put what you need to put into it to move to the next one. You know, the cover that I'm doing at the time is always my favorite. You know, it's always my favorite, and it's always the one that I am chasing for it to be perfect, to be right. You know, I know this is, you can hear all artists say this, you know, they're chasing perfection, but never get at it, you know. And their idea in their head was a lot better than what it turned out. You know, very often it ends up far stiffer looking, far less interesting looking than it was in your head, you know, and very rarely will it ever turn out like what you thought it would look. And the other thing is, sometimes I look back at like a cover I did, you know, a year ago, and I say to myself, shit, that wasn't that bad, you know. So time sometimes kind of gives you a wee bit of distance from an image, you know, and it allows you to see it almost like somebody else painted it, you know. And it's kind of, that's good when that happens, you know. Other ones you look at a year later and you say, that's still a piece of shit, you know. So and you can't do anything about it.
I mean, talking about your pieces of shit, is it just going to be, is there any plans for your covers to become more widely available in the UK, or would you say the best place for UK collectors would be to go on Comics Elite and get them through there?
If you're really stuck, you can go to the Comics Elite and get them there. But in the UK, sometimes the postage is a wee bit more expensive. So there are some comic companies that are doing, like, are selling those UK or the American exclusives and stuff. There's like comic book guys in Belfast. That's a company that order in a lot of the exclusives, the American exclusives. They order a lot of the stuff that I do. They would have most of the stuff that I get or I do, and I would sign a lot of the stuff. So they would have a lot of signed stuff that they would sell as well. So they'd be well worth kind of, you know, having a chat to if you're in the UK and you're looking for
and that's the,
you know,
that's the comic book guys, comicbookguys.co.uk.
Comic book guys in Belfast, I don't know whether it's UK or what, I don't know.com or whatever, but if you just type in comic book guys Belfast, you'll find there's a guy called Aaron, and you know, chat to him and he'll get you the stuff. There are other companies that are selling my stuff in the UK as well. I can't remember their names, unfortunately, because my brain is damaged and it only keeps a certain amount of information in it, you know, and all the rest leaks out through my ear, you know.
So, but I've just found that website and I've just dropped the link
Okay,
in
excellent.
the. I've just dropped it in.
Well,
there.
they have. There you go. Yeah. Anybody wants stuff in the UK? They deal a lot. Well, they have a lot of my stuff, So
yeah, they've got some signed stuff, and
I go down every once in a while and sign a lot of stuff for them, and they post all over the UK. So
yeah, oh, that's definitely good to know and stuff, because I think a few of your covers I did have to get from Comics Elite, and the postage weren't cheap.
Oh, it's
but I mean that is definitely. I'm going to be sending that off to CGC soon.
Cool.
So
cool.
if I get anything less than a 9.8, I'm coming for you, mate.
Oh shit!
He's froze. He's gone.
Well, you can send it over to me, sure, and I'll sign it, and I can send it over to CGC if you want.
Mate, that would be amazing. You'd have to, because obviously on there, that's where you signed it. So you're going to have to put it somewhere.
I've signed it already, have I signed it?
No.
Oh no, that's it. Oh yes.
So if you wouldn't mind, I would send that over to you, and you'd sign it, and then you could send that off to me. That'd be great.
I'll do it.
Amazing. So we've been here nearly 1 hour and 50 minutes. I've taken up so much of your time, Ryan. Honestly, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on.
It's been good fun.
I was going to say I'm a massive fan, but I think there's someone in this comics. I think there's someone in this chat that's bigger than me. Justice for Comics has said, Ryan, I sent you an invite to come on my show. I think we started something now, mate. Would like to have you on. Can you? What's that say? Great show. Can you bring a chipped butty?
Chip butty, yes. I'll have a chip butty the next time. Yeah.
I'll send you over the mushy peas.
Yes.
The kidney stones.
That's a kidney stone. Yeah.
But
disturbing, isn't it?
So before we do go, I just want to say, so obviously the latest one of your fantastic line of work is obviously this one, which I picked up yesterday.
Oh,
do you know what? I hadn't really been reading it, because obviously Empire there's so many of them out. I mean, War of the Realms was good. That kind of got everyone involved. And I've been on a few chats and talking to people, and they're saying you've got to give Empire the time because it's a slow starter.
Yeah.
But again, this cover, there was a standard cover and there was this cover, and this cover, obviously it's yours, and I got it so we could talk about it today, but I was going to pick it up anyway because it was so much more interesting than the standard cover. But it just, again, it's that it draws you in, you want to read it. And it's just, I mean, the storm in the background is incredible.
I kind of, I don't know. I wanted to add more characters and stuff in there, but it's in again. Yeah. I wanted to add more characters and things in, but I didn't have time. But there was a plan, but again, it's just one of those things, But the zombies, some of them are a bit goofy, but it's kind of fun goofy, And like Wolverine there, he's a bit of a goofball,
He's just woken up from a nap. He's
he's all clunky looking, But it's just fun. I just love doing zombies,
it is.
I did. Did you ever see the Thor one? I did.
Yes.
I really like that one. I like that. That was Marvel Zombies.
Yeah. Zombies.
I'm doing another Marvel Zombies one right at this present moment. I can't say what it is.
It was. I'm just trying to find it now.
I did another cover for Empire as well, which was the Fantastic Four one with the Thing in the middle.
I think was that issue. I think it was issue number 2. I think they came out a week and a half ago, or week 3.
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember. I lose track of issues and stuff. But
this was the Thor one you were talking about. This is amazing. I mean, look at Mjolnir. Look at that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if he was to join the Avengers like that, I think everyone would run a mile. I think when he goes at Thanos, and if he was to see that coming to us, I think Thanos would run a mile. He's off. He's gone.
It's the old style as well. See his suit. I wanted to do the old style suit.
Yeah.
Put him in those wee pants and stuff. And it's just bizarre. There's just something weird about it. But kind of, I don't know. And you can sort of see See, there was a plan. There was a plan.
Yeah.
We were going to do a big run of these. I was going to do Spider-Man on the top of a tombstone and all these webs underneath it, and they were all going to connect. They were all going to connect. It was going to be a big, massive connecting cover thing. But we ran out of time again.
Because this came out as a one. It did come out as a one shot. I think I've got it here. Oh, I haven't picked it up. But
was that a main one from Marvel, or was that a Comics Elite?
I'm not sure. But I mean,
I can't remember.
Marvel Zombies Resurrection. I think in Hayek Lee did a few covers as well.
Yeah.
But everyone thought this was going to be a series, and it ended up just being a one shot.
Yeah.
And now I spoke to Philip Kennedy Johnson, and him and Hayek Lee are working together, but they're bringing out Marvel Zombies, but it's a series. It is going to be a series.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was really confused about this, because I thought, oh, this looks wicked. The way it ended was to set it up for another few issues, and it never did. They never came.
I think it was testing the water, testing the water, because I think that DC was doing very well with the disease stuff, and Marvel Zombies did wasn't it the 90s or something when it was originally out? It did very well then, and I always loved that. I thought it was brilliant, Oh, thank you, Tom. Thank you. I mean, the idea was like little shadows of people in the background. I was going to make those on the next cover. It was going to be somebody, so I was going to have the Hulk, and he was going to be gigantic, absolutely gigantic in the next one and stuff. But well,
we've definitely been doing something right, because this has been amazing to listen to. Thank you both for the last 2 hours of entertainment. I have done absolutely nothing. I managed to get Ryan on the show, and it's just a showcase of his work. And we talked about Chip Butties, which was which was
why
great.
Not?
But exactly, why not? But we've got another fanboy comment here. Ryan is the next Saddam.
Who's say?
Better.
Oh,
is
he the guy, the Marvel Zombie guy? I think he's the Marvel Zombie guy.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And he's just said it was a store exclusive. This was a store exclusive for that cover.
Right. You've went sideways.
So
I'll go sideways as well. Oh, it disappeared. Oh, your sign's gone. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
There we go. All good? Yeah.
Gotcha now.
So this was a Thor exclusive. That switched off because I was on my phone, and it switched off, and now I'm on the laptop.
Okay. So, excellent. Oh, I can hear a feedback.
Is that better?
No, I can hear myself again.
Oh no! Here we go.
I know.
Oh no!
It's the end, sure.
It's the end. But anyway, Ryan, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you're a busy guy. I know you're working on something exclusive at the moment. But yeah, thank you so much. I can't. When can you tell everyone?
I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. September. There's going to be a big announcement in September. Big announcement. September.
Yeah, because I think you said on Facebook, wasn't it? I'm working on something big and green.
Oh no, that's just this week's cover.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that as well.
No. The big announcement will be September.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be something crazy.
I can't wait for that. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So, to end with, is there any advice that you would give to any new artists out there dreaming of becoming a legend like yourself?
I'm
setting you up here, mate.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, start from the chip shop upwards. Start from the chip shop, and like Rocky.
Just work your way up.
Yeah. You have the meat packing business, and then become like the top of your game, as a boxing legend sort of thing, But no, I think, I think what you need to do is just build your profile, build your profile, social media, speak to an artist that you admire, try and get some feedback from them on your artwork. Have a bit of thick skin. Your stuff will not be perfect,
Yeah.
and it never will be. But you have to kind of keep progressing, and you also have to take I mean, if an artist says, maybe you're not ready right now, like maybe take their advice, So, but it really depends. I mean, it's complicated. It's complicated. You'll sort of have a bit of an idea yourself, like if you judge yourself to other people's art,
Yeah.
But social media is the key. Facebook, Instagram, DeviantArt, all the rest of the stuff. Just like ArtStation, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all that type of stuff. Put it out and see what people say about your stuff. And keep working on it and work hard. Because the key is hard work.
Exactly.
And it does not get easier either. So you just need to keep putting the time in.
Exactly. Put in the time, put in the effort, and you'll reap the rewards.
Yeah, hopefully. And a business head as well. You need a business head. Along with skill.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Some people are good businessmen, but their art isn't that good.
Yeah.
And there's only a limit, a distance you're going to get with that. Which is.
And I've got to say as well, you are a down to earth, nice guy.
Thank you.
And you've been like very responsive. I literally Billy No Mates here reached out to you, just asked you to come on my show, and it's been absolutely. I've really enjoyed these last 2 hours just sitting here.
Yeah, it's been good fun.
I've really enjoyed it, mate. I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time.
Not at all.
I hope everyone in the chat's enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And if you are looking to get some of Ryan's covers, I did drop the link in. I'll put it up again. That's the comicbookguys.co.uk. They're based over in Belfast. They've got some signed stuff by an artist called Ryan Brown. This isn't the Ryan Brown I was looking to get on the show.
Yeah.
But I just ended up with some random guy who draws comic book covers and talks about chip butties, but it's been entertaining.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for having me on.
No, thank you very much.
Hope everybody enjoyed it and stuff, and maybe got something out of it.
I definitely think
out of all the ramblings and things.
Thanks for your time, guys. Great.
Oh, hello, Richard.
Inspiring. This is more than I could have wished for. I thought it was just going to be me and you sitting here talking to no one, but it's been very good. So I think you're a tiny. It's either me they're here to see or you. I'm going to go with the latter, mate.
Yep. Okay. See you.
I think I'm going to get you one. I'm going to get you one of these T-shirts in the post as well.
Oh,
mate.
Cool! Yeah, give me one of those. I'll take a photograph.
I'll send it over with.
Oh
with
yeah, go for it. Well. Yeah, fire it over.
I will do it. Oh mate, that'd be great. But anyway, I've enjoyed my tea. It's cold now. I've enjoyed the chat. I think I can't be the only one that's learnt a lot from just sitting here talking to you. It's been absolutely great. I look forward to hearing the announcement.
Yeah,
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the Incredible Hulk cover coming out soon.
Which one's that?
The one you're working on now. You said the latest one, just the cover.
Did I say a Hulk?
Is it a green? He said the green one.
It's a green one, yeah.
That's a great. It might not be the Hulk. I'm just.
I'm
just trying to think of other green characters. Now. It might be a really sick Spider-Man.
Aye, that's it. Yes. Sick Spider-Man. It could be loads of things, couldn't it?
It could be, yeah. I'm just trying to think. It could be Gamora. Who knows?
Yeah. It was a green giant or something.
Green giant, jolly green giant. Here we go. We're back to the peas again.
That's it, with the peas.
But right, mate. It's been a pleasure, mate. So thank you for taking the time.
Problem.
And,
no problem.
Enjoy Belfast. I hope the sun is shining.
Yeah.
It's not, is it? No.
I'll say cheerio to everybody. I'm gonna wave, or I'm gonna put my fingers out there and connect with you all, and I'll say cheerio to you.
This is like an ET moment. Cheers, guys. Goodbye. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.